So we're talking about something pretty interesting today. Buying property in Southern Baja, Mexico, but like before it's even built, pre-construction stuff. Sounds kind of exciting, right? Getting in early on a place down there.
Yeah, and you actually sent over some material that really gets into it, all the angles. It seems the big draw for a lot of folks is the price. The idea that you could snag a property before it even hits the market, often with a better price tag than what you'd see later on.
Makes sense getting ahead of the game like that. But it's not just about saving some money up front, is it? I mean, the stuff you sent over also talked about how much you can personalize things.
Oh yeah, that's huge. The customization aspect is a big selling point with pre-construction. Imagine being able to pick out the finishes you want, maybe even have a say in the layout. You're essentially tailoring a brand new home to your exact liking. You don't usually get that kind of flexibility with existing properties, right? It's especially interesting down in Southern Baja because in some of the really sought-after spots, pre-construction might be the only way to get a brand new place. Those resale options, if you can even find them, they can really cost you.
Gotcha. So better prices, the ability to make it your own, and prime locations. But we also have to talk about the other side of the coin here. What are some of those things that anyone even thinking about this needs to really get?
Well, one thing that pops up constantly in all the stuff you gave me is the potential for delays in construction. And there are so many reasons those can happen. Permits can take time, there might be labor shortages, sometimes even the supply chain for building materials gets messed up. It's not always smooth sailing, and that can push back when you can actually move in, sometimes by a lot.
Yeah, that's a real consideration, especially when you're talking about buying in another country. You might have a certain time frame in mind for getting down there. Plus, you can't just hop in the car and go check on the progress every week, right?
Absolutely. That distance makes the developer's reputation even more crucial. You really need to look into the company's track record. Are they financially solid? Have they delivered on their promises in the past? Because if a developer runs into financial trouble, well, projects can stall or even get completely abandoned. That's why the material stress is doing your homework, due diligence, as they call it.
So it's not just about pretty pictures and brochures, it's about who is actually behind it all. What are some questions someone should be asking when they're sizing up a developer in Southern Baja?
I think one of the best things you can do is go beyond just those glowing testimonials you often see. Try to find out how they handled problems in the past. Like if there were delays or disputes, were they upfront with the buyers? Did they work to make things right? That's more telling than just hearing good things. And also look at their history in Southern Baja specifically. Did they complete projects there? Were those projects finished on time and with the quality they promised? Talking to local real estate pros who have worked with the developer, that can give you some really valuable insights too.
It sounds like there's a lot more to it than most people probably realize. So beyond the developer themselves, what else should people be thinking about?
Well, you can ever forget about the real estate market itself. Things change, right? So what's hot today might not be so hot tomorrow. That means the market in Southern Baja could shift between when you sign on the dotted line and when the place is actually finished. Now, you're hoping it goes up in value, of course, but it's possible it could go the other way too. You're kind of making a bet on the future in a way.
Right. It's a long game. And you shared some documents that also highlighted the importance of really understanding the contract.
Absolutely. Pre-construction contracts, especially when you're buying internationally, can be tricky. They often have a lot of legalese and are written to favor the developer. That's why it's so important to have a good lawyer on your side, someone who specializes in Mexican real estate law. They can go through it all with a fine-tooth comb, explain what everything really means, especially the parts about refunds, how the payments are structured, and the conditions for either side backing out of the deal.
So a lawyer isn't just a good idea, it's really a necessity, it sounds like. If you're thinking like a buyer, what are the absolute must-do things before signing anything for pre-construction down in Southern Baja?
Okay, I'd say the most important thing is that due diligence on the developer that we talked about. Their experience, their finances, what their reputation is like in the area. And number two, which we already said, is get yourself a lawyer who knows this stuff inside and out to go over that contract and make sure you're protected. You have to understand everything you're agreeing to before you commit.
What about the money part of it? How
Yeah.
does that usually work with pre-construction down there?
The way it usually goes is they'll have a payment schedule tied to the phases of construction. So you put down a deposit to start, then you make more payments as they hit certain milestones, like when they finish the foundation, the framing, stuff like that. You need to be really clear on that schedule right from the beginning and make sure it fits with your budget. And, it's always smart to figure out your financing options well in advance, too.
And let's say you're buying from far away. How can you keep tabs on everything and make sure things are going according to plan?
Having someone you trust on the ground down there is a big help. It could be a real estate agency that knows the area and has worked on pre-construction projects before, or even just a reliable contact who could check in on things every so often and give you updates. And keep those lines of communication open with the developer. You know, ask for regular updates on the progress, even photos or videos if they'll provide them.
So, a network of people you trust is essential. The material you send over also mentioned thinking about the long-term plan for the property.
Yeah, that's smart. Even if you're just planning to use it yourself for now, think about what you might want to do later on. Will you rent it out? Maybe sell it eventually. It helps to know what the rental market is like down there and what the resale trends are. All that can affect your decision now and how you view the investment potential down the line.
It's definitely a lot to wrap your head around, but it's great to break down all those practical things to consider. And you mentioned a buyer named Donna who had a good experience. Could you tell us a little more about what she did right?
Oh, Donna's story is a perfect example of what can happen when you're careful with pre-construction. She found this development she loved in a super desirable part of Southern Baja. They were offering pre-launch pricing, which means it wasn't even on the market yet. So she got a great price because she was early. But she didn't rush into it. She did her homework on the developer, made sure her lawyer looked over the contract really carefully, and because that location was so in demand and the developer did a good job, the value of her property went way up by the time it was finished, like 300%, I think.
Wow, that's a huge jump. It shows that if you find the right place, a trustworthy developer, and you do everything right on your end, there's real potential for making some serious money.
Absolutely. It can be tempting to just focus on the excitement of having a brand new place in such a beautiful place like Southern Baja. But you have to understand the risks too. Things like construction delays, making sure the developer is solid, and those market changes we talked about. It all comes down to being smart about it,
Yeah.
doing your research, getting legal advice, and finding people you trust on the ground down there.
It's all about a strategic approach. Well, if all this has you thinking and you want to dig deeper into certain parts, maybe you're curious about how to really check out a developer's finances or what to look for in a Mexican real estate contract, we can definitely do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Each of those things, checking out the developers, the legal stuff with contracts in Mexico, all the ins and outs of financing, those are big topics worth spending some more time on if you're serious about buying pre-construction in Southern Baja. We should absolutely talk more about those things another time.
That sounds like a good plan. So here's something for you to think about. As you're picturing yourself buying a place in Southern Baja before it's even built, what's the biggest thing on your mind? Is it the chance to get in early and watch your investment grow? Or is it the excitement of designing something that's totally unique to you? Or maybe you're mostly thinking about how to handle all the details and avoid any potential problems. That'll really help you figure out what you should do next if you want to explore this further. Thanks for joining us as we looked into the world of pre-construction in Southern Baja.